We get so lost in the patterns of our lives, we forget the awareness in which the patterns come and go. We get so embroiled to the point of blindness, to the point of misery, suffering, addiction. And we forget the equanimity, and we forget the awareness that sees it all, that knows the coming and going. The awareness. And what is that awareness? You know, to me, that awareness, it's the canvas, but it's also the unconditionality of us, the love of us, not the transactional love, but the deeper love. In effect, the divine, our divine essential nature. One may even dare call it soul, without attributing any qualities to it. The seeing itself, the ocean itself. You know, but we become lost so quickly on this journey. And then we just become the endless pattern, the endless swirling around of the pattern. Embroiled, lost, struggling, striving, suffering, succeeding, finding pleasure, finding joy, finding meaning, the endless swirling of the human patterns as they find their way through the river, as the river. And yet, what of the water itself? The water is the equanimity. It's the primary, the quality of witnessing, the witness without any identity, the witnessing. I did a sacred ceremony once, back 20, 30 years ago in the wild camp with the wild Celtic shaman in Wales, in Great Britain. And it was a great, it was a weekend of village sort of recreation, if you like, although not a recreation in the conventional sense. It was just a big gathering of wild people. And in the big roundhouse, some reason, I, with this friend I had, went into the roundhouse, sacred roundhouse, built by hand, you know, built by these warriors. And it was big, it was 100-foot roundhouse. It was phenomenal, impressive. Built in a sacred way by a sacred constellation, you know, mirroring the kind of heavens in many ways. But it was deep buried in the soil as well, you know, and we'd had a lot of sacred fires and sacred storytellings and ceremonies. And I, for some reason, I was called to go in and cover myself in the ash of the fire and walk around the fire in a sacred way. I looked like some crazy guy from India or, you know, a sadhu or something. And it started to kind of transport me in a way to a different sort of, I don't know what, I know, a different awareness, a different relationship. A kind of detachment came over me. And me and this guy kind of walked up to the top of a hill. And we sat there. And we looked down over the hubbub of everybody who was running around doing these ceremonies and dancing and laughing and shouting and, you know, the whole human game, the whole human experience. And I sat there and looked at him, and we became kind of like entities or something, like gods, like passive, detached onlookers of the human experience. We just kind of looked. And I think at one point, I just said, look at them. And it wasn't a them, it was an us. It was like looking from the eyes of such a detachment. There was no sentimentality. There was no aloofness. There was detachment. It was very profound. It was a very profound experience. And it was difficult to come back from that. You know, I had to be, I don't know where I went. I don't know where I went. I went to a strange place. By and by, we came down from the hill, and a friend found us, saw us. By that time, I was gone, just wandering through like some ghost through the human experience. And she, in a kind of archetypal way, in many ways, took us down to the river. There was a river that ran through that meadow, that vast sort of place. And so I was just looking at her from like a million miles away. I couldn't come back to the human experience. I'd kind of left it. It was a bit like a drug experience, but there was no drugs. But it's had the same kind of powerful effect. And, you know, part of the will of me to re-enter the human experience with all of its smallness and its suffering and its pain and its sort of funneling into, you know, the relative world was gone. I didn't want to come back. By and by, she got me down into the water and started kind of throwing the water on me and kind of slapping my face and shouting to me, "Come back! Come back!" She would say, and I swear, I heard this voice from like the other side of the universe. I heard this sort of, it's like a dream, man. Like I heard this tiny voice. What is that? And it came again. Come back. Come back. And then it was almost like a sort of rebirth in a way, because I felt that kind of rushing, like the wind or the water or the, you know, like we must experience some crazy feelings when we're being born. And I felt this, like I was back. Like what was that? What happened? Like you know, wow. Like I was gone. And then I was back. Like a dream, but a living dream and a very real one. And it took me 2 days to even physically energetic. Same with my friend. But mine was dramatic. It took me 2 days to recover. We went back to the village sort of place and sat by the fire, and I was a shell. I was like, wow. And a sort of energetic, psychic integration of that took some time. I've never forgotten it to this day. I keep, it keeps reworking itself through me, because there was something. I saw something that day. I felt something that day that opened my eyes to, I don't know what, detachment maybe. So that was quite I don't know why I told you this, apart from, a reminder. I wasn't going to take long with this, but I got involved in that story. I could feel it all over again. Is just to say, remember, the pattern is not the entire picture. The pattern of your life in this human form, the things, the weave, the pattern of the cloth is not just the cloth. There's the weaver, and there's the tapestry, and there's the universe, and there's the depth from which it comes. Remember draw back and see things from a detached place sometimes. That detachment is not a problem. That detachment is not cold necessarily. It is if it's just mind, but if it's energy, if it's the energeticness of us, and we've gotten deeper into the body, you see it from a kind of benevolence. That's what it is. That's what I saw that day when I looked down on the village and the movement of all human life. I saw it with a kind of detached benevolence that was all heart, but not small heart. It was all love, but not contractual love, not conditional love. It was the vast, but there was no cold aloofness in it. It was this detached benevolence that is in us, that is of us, when we choose to kind of start drawing out and seeing things, and not just being so very lost in the human experience. It allows us to bear the unbearable to such a greater extent that actually it integrates the human experience into our divine nature much more. So I wanted to share that. Bless you.